What's up? This is Simone Lyons, but you can call me Simone. I want to give a quick shout out to Crystal McGowan from the Sims Uncensored Facebook group. Thank you so much for coming up with this name for me. I was having a hell of a time doing this myself, so I super appreciate it. Thanks. So today we're going to be doing the 32 tile 12,000 simoleon limit no BB move objects challenge. And I know this is super late on the game, but I had to teach myself video editing essentially to put this out, so that took some time. I wanted to start on the Strangerville lot because it seemed like a natural place to put a tiny home. There's a fair amount of them in like communities like that in desert areas, at least around the US. So it felt right. Plus there was already a bunch of cute little trailer homes around with market lights, which I am such a sucker for. So yeah, I just love that skyline so much, and the shotgun style really does fit out here with all those other little trailers. There is going to be a small bedroom in the back, little 4-tile bathroom. In retrospect, I do think I could have done a slightly different plan for this and maybe used a room divider for that secondary bedroom. But I also wanted to be able to fit a desk, which I believe I do later on. Because a laptop's nice, but if you're going to have a kid's room, I think it's can you hear that cat meow? I do think it's important for a kid to actually have a place to work. So here is me also playing with this bathroom, and I was having a really hard time. Usually bathrooms are one of my favorite rooms in a house, but this really gave me a fucking headache. I made sure I didn't use BB move objects. It was super hard for me. I don't realize until I do something like this how much I absolutely rely on that sheet, because otherwise I feel so constricted. And it definitely, oh my god, it makes me feel like I'm a little kid again. And my mom's like, no, you can't build that there. You know my ability to circumvent normal everyday objects is impaired. You know that. But anyway, so over here we're using the cabinets. Nope. I guess it's actually not the cabinets. It's the counters from the Salvadorian pack, and I love them. I think they are my favorite cabinets. Oh my god, I did it again. I think they're my favorite counters in the whole game. I'll die on the hill that they're the most aesthetically pleasing. They do have the drawers on the side that the chairs go, which is really aggravating. But that seems to be a pervasive problem throughout all the counters that they released in the game, besides, oh my god, I can't remember. Is it the Parenthood ones? There's a few that are done correctly, but otherwise, shin kickers. Shins are overrated. So we did get the extremely expensive Murphy bed in here. I was kind of determined to use as many items from Tiny Living Pack as humanly possible, and this does use most packs in the game. I don't know if we were, I can't remember honestly, if we were restricted to only base game and Tiny Living, but if that was the case, I definitely didn't adhere to that, and that's okay with me. Sweet. So I don't actually think I was paying too much attention at this point to my simoleon level, because I get really close to going over for the whole last like 8 minutes of this video, but that's okay. I was excited actually because I realized I hadn't looked up the clutter yet and just put a couple books on the counter and just left them there for a while. And yeah, I would have preferred to put something useful on top of the mini fridge, like a microwave or a coffee machine or the magic tea maker. But as far as I know, you cannot put any operational appliances on top of it. It's just a place to put a open box of cereal and a couple cans. Also opted for open shelving. I think when you have a place this tiny that it's really nice to have as much wall as you can see, because otherwise it can definitely feel constricted when the only thing you have around you is storage. And storage is super important. It definitely nicks that giant like entertainment center thing because it's just not gonna work, and also couldn't really afford it. We do have these breathtaking children's lights. They output about zero point 0.2 lumens, and I do believe I kept them because they are the absolute cheapest ceiling lights in the game. Those little saucer ones are actually like pretty surprisingly expensive. So I might actually size these down at the very end of the video just to like get them out of the way from my line of sight from when I was doing the last couple. So this is the part where I start work on the exterior, and I picked out the door from Laundry Day stuff, chose to use that blue trim and the orange specifically as an accent throughout the rest of the little house. The windows, there's a big window in the front, and then I use a couple tiny windows around. Oh, and I definitely didn't want to put too many windows because that like trim on the small ones is hella big. Um, but I also wanted to make sure that the walls had like enough berth of emptiness, if that makes sense. I wanted to give them a TV too, because it's just a really easy way to get them happy, and especially if you're like playing university, it's necessary. They get so sad about all their work, or at least with Slice of Life, they do. I have Slice of Life and Meaningful Stories, um, which is by Kawhi Stacy and Roberke, respectively. And together, it makes my Sims so emotional. I actually, the other day, took Slice of Life out of my game for the first time in like a year and a half. And it's definitely not quite as interesting, but I am getting a few less last exceptions, which is kind of nice, not gonna lie. But that's still an amazing mod, and Kawhi Stacy is like, whoo, doing God's work. Yeah, this is when I started to get excited because I was actually like giving this little house some sense of individuality, which is always nice. And I love that little rug. Is it rattan? Whatever. Either way, I tend to use it one color or another for a fair amount of my builds. I try so hard to not repeat objects over and over again, but you definitely get a preference after playing this game since it came out. You just start remembering individual names of items and even some of the descriptions, and then you feel like a crazy person. But that actually happens with some consistency with this game. I definitely, when I'm posting my Sims memes on my Facebook to the two people who also play the game out of my 1,200 friends, yeah, I feel a little crazy, but it's okay. Somebody has to teach them about this beautiful subculture. So yes, right over here, I finally add a roof. It took me long enough, and once again, I copped out and did I don't know, the non-gabled roof. Um, and I put like an aluminum roof on it because in reality, I know you have to keep these homes at a really light load because you're gonna like haul it with a big ass truck. So I was trying to keep this semi-realistic, and I do remember James Turner had a video where he built a tiny home on top of an actual trailer foundation with like wheels and everything, which I thought was super cool. But since you can't use debug objects, I just kind of bolt it on like a mini stilt foundation. So now I'm getting legit stoked because I can actually add some tchotchkes around and give it a little bit of pizzazz. So earlier I also forgot to mention that I added this cute little like oxidized wrought iron gate to the side, and I only put one in a small area because I just had this little like fantasy thing that they picked it up at a salvage yard, and oh, it's so cute and quirky. And then put it on their house, much like their door. I don't know, this family that would theoretically lives here just strikes me as those types of people. So yes, I did play test this desk. It does work. I also flipped the bed later on because in that current orientation, it does not work. Then I finally got to put plants in this domicile, and I was so worried that I wouldn't have enough money, and right now I'm really teetering on the edge. I'm at 11,000, what is it, 832? I can't totally see that. Yes, I am. But the whole place was feeling like kind of barren to me, and I really wanted to get some stuff on the walls. I I have a problem with a lot of the wallpapers in the game. They're all like super dated looking to me, so I end up using a lot of CC wallpapers in my builds, and I couldn't this time. So I think I definitely struggled with that. I struggled a lot more with this build than I expected. And look, I'm already at 12,152, and I was just trying to get that plant in there. However, later on, when I made a sim for the house and I placed her on the lot and I like moved her in, and then I took away all of her simoleons, the house value dropped back down, and I definitely took advantage of that. Went back in and added like a truck and some market lights of my own, just some more like flora in general, because especially with a tiny house, you really want that greenery and like a connection to outside, especially in an environment like this where it's honestly like it's beautiful. It's one of my favorite worlds, I think, in The Sims, just because it reminds me of like being in the Badlands or something. And then I also love a good cactus. And ooh, that aloe. I add some aloe back onto the lot later on too. But yeah, so I really wanted to let the surroundings kind of dictate the colors of this place too, which is why we've got that kind of dusty orange going on and a kind of muted palette on the inside. I use the Salvadorian, is it kind of like a spackle with tile backsplash to give it a little bit of extra texture and pattern in there, because I couldn't afford too many pictures, so I was trying to do that in a kind of different way. And I love this wooden floor. It's got a bunch of like, it's kind of rainbowy. There's a few floors in the game that have this this feeling. It's weird. The wooden floors I love. I just don't enjoy a lot of the wallpaper, but to each their own. And yeah, so I'm also just playing around with a bunch of different options. I think I go with that one in the end. And I did play test this. You can use that TV, you can watch it. I also had to ditch one of the counter chairs, and I changed them out for these. And I really love them in this teal that I'm about to pick. But when I play tested it, just didn't work, and I had to take a stool away, which is so annoying. But oh well. This is just about the end of the video. I'm gonna have the reveal shots next. Watch out for my next one. It's going to be a little speed build of this tiny home community that I made for the university town. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Let me know if you have any comments or suggestions for things I could do in the future. I'm thinking of doing some clowny back to towny videos where I go around the town trying to fix up the horrible fashion abominations that the townies are wearing. I hope you enjoy these reveal shots, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much.